Let's face it, the best thing someone in the creative field can do is tap into the viewer's emotions. That can be from making you feel joyous, calm, frightened, or maybe even sad. But there's something beyond invoking an emotional reaction in the viewers that is the ultimate holy grail for what I look for in any kind of media. It's making the audience really think for a long time after viewing it by creating a story that loiters in the mind. Jacob's Ladder does just that. Fellow creator Ragnarok sums up my thoughts perfectly.
Jacob's Ladder is a movie that lingers. It's a mind-bender that keeps the viewer's mind occupied long after watching it.
It uses its very ambiguous story and imagery to play on the viewer's fear of the unknown, and invites them to attempt to explain it for themselves. Many other creators have taken it upon themselves to make their own version of this type of storytelling just because it's so effective in keeping people hooked, and even drawing them in for multiple rewatches or replays. This movie most prominently inspired the Silent Hill series. There is a lot of little details and Easter eggs between the two which are very neat but get talked about a lot, so for brevity's sake, I'll just go through a few of my favorites right now. James Sunderland is wearing the exact same jacket as Jacob Singer. Notice they also have the same initials? Virgin Street is the same street Heather Mason tries to get to through the subways in Silent Hill 3. One of the endings in the first game is so similar to the end of the movie it's not even funny. No spoilers though. Also, hospitals and subways. Lastly, and this one's my favorite just because it's just so weird and out there, and for some reason most people don't really know this, but someone found the exact same anti-drug poster Jacob sees on the subway in the texture files of the first game. Cool, right? Alright, this is neat and all, but because of the sheer amount of things Jacob's Ladder has some influence on, the twists and turns at the end may all seem unoriginal, if you will. But it's important to keep in mind that it pioneered this kind of story and paved the way for many others to come, if not indirectly. Ultimately, the movie can be perceived as many different things. Its pretty ambiguous plotline has invited many people to look into it themselves and form their own opinion. A couple of examples include more biblical interpretations, specifically the names of most of the characters correspond to biblical figures such as Jezebel, Eli, Gabe, and Jacob himself. It can also be interpreted as a movie adaptation for Bardo Thodol, or the Tibetan Book of the Dead. I won't get too much into this theory because it's extremely complicated, but if you want to know more, I'd recommend Max Derritt's video essay on the subject. But what made Jacob's Ladder scary enough to stick around in my mind is the fact that there are zero visual effects used.
I did it with all of the special effects being in camera, being at the time, which sort of made it nightmarish, I think. I'm sure it's the most difficult way to do it. Because it was real, because there was nothing that was make-believe, you know what I'm saying? There was nothing that was optical, really.
Besides models, props, and replicas, everything is filmed without the use of CGI that often makes most other horror films look kind of fake. Take It, for example, a decent movie, but oftentimes the scares feel a little bit forced. If you take a step back from the movie, it's easy to say everything done here is mostly visual effects, and that immediately takes away from most of the spooky factor from it. In Jacob's Ladder, however, it is shot so that everything feels real. What about the twitching effect, you ask? Isn't that CGI? No, look, I'll do it right now. The only movie magic here is just playing around with the frame rates. It's super fun. Alrighty, now you all listen up here. That clip, that 5-second clip, costed me $6 of my hard-earned money, plus 50 seconds of me just sitting there and moving my head around like an idiot. So if you didn't enjoy that, that's on you. I'm also gonna use this little section just to say, big flashing lights warning for this next scene. That was a terrible segue. The movie takes its time to really let the viewer become uncomfortable, taking familiar locations and twisting them incomprehensibly and eventually reaching a climax, then immediately winding down from that. Each scary scene is its own plot roller coaster, and I'd much rather take that than the funny clown man jump scare that every horror movie seems to be so reliant on nowadays. It's very similar to how The Shining makes the viewer uncomfortable, and evidently passed that on to Silent Hill as well as all of its successors. Another part of the movie that is evident in Silent Hill is the meaning of its monsters. Although most of them have some kind of biblical purpose, especially the more demon-like creature in the party scene, they're all used to represent parts of Jacob's life. The animal carcass could show his fear of death, the spasming people, or as I like to call them, twitchers could show his instability in life, and all the patients in the hospital could portray his slipping sanity in the given situation. Jacob's sickness in the middle of the movie can also be a sign of his descent into insanity, and first-time viewers will usually jump to conclusions and think that, oh, this is the reason behind all these strange things, but that's not entirely the case. I'm gonna go into spoiler territory, so this is your last chance you have to click off and go watch the movie for yourself. Alright, we good? Good. Let's continue our little discussion.
Fun with bananas!
Near the end, the movie heavily implies and eventually outright states that the army messed with Jake and his buddies. Or at least that's the conclusion they come to when the group meet back up and discuss their issues.
I thought I was the only one. Yeah, me too. I thought I was going out of my mind. I know.
At first, it honestly seems kinda dumb, as it is old news that many armies messed with their men using all kinds of different drugs. For example, the British Army in World War I handed out cocaine tablets for both stimulant and medicinal properties, and the German Army in World War II decided it was a good idea to create a concoction of cocaine, meth, and oxycodone that was known as D9. Opiates were commonly used as painkillers in the Civil War, hallucinogenic mushrooms were used by Native Americans in battles, the list goes on. But Jacob's Ladder takes this idea and twists it in a creative and interesting way.
Dream on. God, no.
This is Michael. He is the chemist that created the drug, distributed to Jacob and his troop, which eventually backfired and led them to kill each other on the battlefield instead of the enemy. In fact, there was no enemy. They didn't arrive until about an hour after Jacob was helicoptered to a medical facility for injuries inflicted on him by one of his own buddies. After the first viewing in theaters, the audience thought the movie was too overwhelming, so there was a lot of cut content specifically from this final scene. There was an entire deleted scene that depicts Michael giving Jacob the antidote for the drug that had been plaguing his psyche, and it was removed because the audience thought it was too disturbing. I have seen this scene myself, and it is not that bad, to be honest. In fact, I'm kinda glad it got removed because it acts in a way as a separate or alternative ending. But like, come on man, this movie needs an extended cut. All of this stuff is on the special edition, but do you know how hard it is to get a hold of that thing? Like, no joke. I tried and failed. But this movie, especially this scene in particular, plays on the audience's bias against the army that most people had beforehand. Everyone knows there is some shady stuff going on in the military, however I'm not entirely sure if that stuff happens as much current year. But like I said earlier, there were various laws prohibiting drugs in the military, and they were all used at the time as performance boosters, and not always ethically. It's been done for centuries. It makes us sympathize with Jacob, also given his situation on the fact that his son died. He tried and failed to get a court case against the army, he just got thrown out of a car and mugged by Santa, and got a needle stuck in his head. It's been a pretty interesting couple of weeks for him. Or at least it would have been if it actually happened.
Dead? No. I'm not dead.
What are you then?
I'm alive.
He said, come out and play, and it was all fun and games. He asked me to dance, and we danced. His eyes were red.
But taking Jacob's Ladder from a completely surface-level perspective, what is it really about? To put it simply, I took it as a movie about the fear of death and how we react to trauma. All of the demons and monsters represent his unconscious projection of what has happened to him, most likely a direct result of his mind attempting to repress his past and recent trauma. But in the end, by learning the truth, he is able to confront his demons head-on and move on to die in peace.
If you're frightened of dying and you're holding on, you'll see devils tearing your life away. But if you've made your peace
then the devils are really angels, freeing you from the earth.
By no means is this an original ending, and one of the few issues I have with the movie is that it hasn't aged quite well due to every other game developer, movie director, and their mother going for the exact same twist or something similar. Before its time, it stood out as a movie that was different and made ripples throughout the modern media for years to come. Just don't watch the remake. My god, please don't.
Bruh.
Checking airways.
Bruh.
It's his brother.
Bruh.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the credits, and wowee! This is the quickest I've ever gotten out a video, and I think it's just because I had a goal set in mind, so yeah, I don't know, it's just like working towards it, man. I was able to do it somehow. Don't ask, man, don't ask. But this was a very interesting video to make. This is like my first movie review I've done since literally the first like actual video that I put effort into on this channel back when I was doing a school project. It was for To Kill a Mockingbird, and I'm telling you, there was a reason why the 2001 A Space Odyssey video was canceled. Oh my god, another float plane. And it's because, oh man, it is so hard to get footage for these movie reviews. You would not believe. It's not like, you know, when you're doing a game review and you just like look up the game like I did with the Darkwood video. I was just like, oh, Darkwood full game, and I was just able to nab footage from there. But no, oh man, you gotta like take clips from YouTube, and sometimes it's not what you want, and oh man, I don't know if I'll do another one of these, but don't expect a video coming out very soon from here on out because junior year is coming up, and oh my god, it's gonna be hard doing anything then because I'll be so busy. But yeah, besides that, I will see you guys next time at some point. Peace.
How it feels to chew 5 gum. Stimulate your senses.